Good, happy Monday morning, October 7, 2019. I'm Riley King, and welcome to the Riley King Newscast, right here on the Riley King Network. We have a lot of news to get to this morning, so let's get started. First up, Corvette destroyed by fire on I-93 South in Manchester. Driver escaped with minor injuries. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
There'll be hogs and goats and geese and sheep and all the chowder you can eat in a big parade with floats and marching bands.
A Corvette has been destroyed after catching on fire tonight on I-93 South in Manchester, just past the 293 merge. Take a look at that. Manchester Fire says the driver escaped amazingly with just a minor injury. The cause of that fire is still under investigation.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. New warning from State Health Department over triple E threat. High risk of contracting illness despite cold weather, according to officials. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9, Tim Callery.
There'll be hogs and goats and geese and sheep and all the chowder you can eat in a big parade with floats and marching bands.
Well, Cerise, most people may associate mosquitoes with the summertime, but officials here at the Department of Health and Human Services say right now is actually the riskiest time of year for contracting illnesses from the insects. Don't let your guard down just yet. That's the message from state health officials tonight as they send out a warning to Granite staters that risk remains high for contracting a mosquito-borne illness.
In fact, it's probably a greater risk this time of year.
Entomologist Sarah McGregor is the president of Dragon Mosquito Control. She says although the population has decreased since the summer, the threat of eastern equine encephalitis and other mosquito-related viruses is still very much alive.
Because most of the mosquitoes that are flying are capable of carrying triple E. Even though the numbers are down, the mosquitoes that we see right now are the bad ones.
And the recent fall frost that we've experienced has not made an impact.
They just hunker down, maybe up under the bushes by your house, or they fly into your barn or your garage, but they're very much alive right now.
McGregor cautions it could be some time until the threat is lowered.
I like to say when there's snow on the ground, but if we have a hard freeze, which is different from a frost, so we need to see temperatures below freezing for at least 6 hours overnight. This is just the way it is now in New England. We have to be concerned about mosquitoes until there's snow on the ground.
And of course, fall time is a popular time for people to be outdoors, whether it's enjoying leaf peeping or attending local fairs. So officials are just really stressing to make sure you're wearing protective clothing and to continue with that bug spray. We're live here in Concord. I'm Tim Callery, WMUR News 9.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. So when you go outside, be careful still. "83-year-old beats 76-year-old to death in nursing home assault," DA says. Let's take a listen to that video from WMUR News 9.
There'll be hogs and goats and geese geese and sheep and all the chowder you can eat in a big parade with floats and marching bands.
Well, right now, a homicide investigation is underway at a nursing home right over the border in Haverhill, Massachusetts. Investigators believe an 83-year-old man beat a 76-year-old man to death. Todd Kaskiewicz from our sister station, WCVB, has the details.
Just a friend of mine got murdered.
Tonight, people are in disbelief after what authorities describe as patient-on-patient violence. Saturday night, inside this Haverhill nursing home, Oxford Manor. According to police, just after 7:30 p.m., an 83-year-old man allegedly assaulted a 76-year-old man.
Good old gentleman, he was a nice guy. Says, yeah, he didn't deserve what happened to him.
It's a disaster. Tragic.
The Essex County District Attorney's Office says an ambulance rushed the victim to Holy Family Hospital, where the man was pronounced dead. The suspect, Jose Vagia, was taken there for evaluation, and he is now under arrest.
The only question that I had was, like I said, how nobody heard it. And I guess they said that the bedroom's too far at the end of the hallway, so they weren't able to hear any of that.
Today, the nursing home issued a statement reading, "The Oxford's heart goes out to the families of those involved in last night's incident." The statement goes on to say, based on our initial internal investigation, our staff acted quickly and appropriately in the matter.
They all got to see the body rolled out. I don't know why they wouldn't keep them in their rooms, but my dad got to see it, so he's going through having to see, the crushed skull. It was just really traumatic.
And that was Todd Kaskiewicz reporting. The Essex County DA's office says the suspect is expected to be arraigned tomorrow on unspecified charges. At this point, there's no word on whether that arraignment will happen in court or in the hospital.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Joe Sestak tells the story of his life-changing trip through China, Candidate Cafe. Let's take a listen to that video from WR News 9.
The other one was Hong Kong. And today, with everything that's going on, I kind of imagine it because, as I mentioned, the very first, when they opened up independent travel to Americans, I went to Beijing. I was between ships, had a little bit of leave, and came out a couple weeks later down in Hong Kong. And man, I mean, I was on a sheep boat, basically, to get through. No, there's no tourist boats to go from Wuhan to Chongqing. I was there with a sheep, and it cost me the equivalent of $1 a day to be able to sleep with a sheep and get a bowl of rice or something. But I could splurge for about $1.25 and have a room like this with about 25 people laying on a straw mat. I splurged and went with a straw mat. All right? And we went through the Yangtze River. And it was fascinating. And I haven't been back, been to Mongolia. But even though I found it so exotic and everything, and the people are wonderful, when I came out to Hong Kong, for whatever reason, and I'd been there in a port, after going through a country at that time, and maybe it was of the moment, but Hong Kong, with its vibrancy, and at the time it was still under British rule, of just be all you can be with no restraints on it. Light shining. Okay, I got climate change, but at the moment, it was just exciting. For some reason, I never lost that zeal whenever I went back to Hong Kong on a ship or something. And I don't know how it is today, but those are the two that...
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for today. We have 3 candidates that will be in New Hampshire today. The first candidate, Michael Bennett, Health Policy Roundtable with the New Hampshire Medical Society at Elliott Hospital in Manchester, New Hampshire at 4 o'clock p.m. Joe Sestak has 2 events today in New Hampshire. His first event, Local Democrats Monthly Meeting at Bedford Public Library in Bedford, New Hampshire at 6:30 p.m. A second event, Town Hall organized by local Democrats at the Nashua Library in Nashua, New Hampshire at 7 p.m. And Marianne Williamson, she has 3 events today in New Hampshire. Her first event, Candidate Cafe Series at the Airport Diner in Manchester, New Hampshire with Marianne Williamson today at 9 a.m. Meet Marianne at the Claremont Community Center in Claremont, New Hampshire at 12:30 p.m. Meet and greet with Marianne Williamson at the Gallery of Main Street Brookends of Warner in Warner, New Hampshire at 6 p.m. Those are the candidates that are in New Hampshire today. Second whistleblower comes forward on Trump's dealings with Ukraine. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
And we begin tonight with that breaking news in the impeachment investigation. ABC News, the first to report that a second whistleblower has come forward, an intelligence official claiming to have first-hand knowledge of President Trump's dealings with Ukraine, backing up the first whistleblower's complaint about pressuring Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. The White House responding a short time ago. This as Republicans are accusing Democrat Adam Schiff of selectively releasing text messages from diplomats. But this weekend, one more Republican senator came forward to criticize the president. ABC's David Wright leads us off from the White House.
Tonight, after reports that a second whistleblower is coming forward to corroborate the initial complaint against President Trump, the White House is pushing back. It doesn't matter how many people decide to call themselves whistleblowers about the same telephone call, a call the president already made public, the press secretary said. It doesn't change the fact that he has done nothing wrong. An attorney who represents both whistleblowers tells ABC News his new client has first-hand knowledge of the president's behind-the-scenes effort to enlist the Ukrainian government to investigate Joe Biden and his son, potentially undermining one of the president's repeated defenses.
Well, the whistleblower was very inaccurate.
He got his information, I guess, second or third hand.
In other words, he didn't know what was on the call.
Tonight, House Intelligence Chair Adam Schiff commended the second whistleblower.
We are tremendously dependent on people of courage stepping forward.
Today, the president's allies struggled to defend his public call for China to get involved, too.
China should start an investigation into the Biden.
The president asked China to investigate.
We know they're not, George. Come on.
Why can't you answer yes or no? Do you think it's appropriate?
I don't, because I don't think that's what he did. I don't think that's what he did.
But it was right there on camera.
The Democrats leading the impeachment inquiry are under pressure, too, accused of selectively releasing damaging text messages from diplomats out of context. Republican Mark Meadows of North Carolina claims the full testimony from the former U.S. Special Envoy to Ukraine directly undermined the salacious impeachment narrative Democrats are trying to sell you.
Why not release the full transcript?
We'll see what happens moving forward, but I have full confidence in Chairman Schiff.
Came out in support of an impeachment inquiry. And I wanted you to know...
Back home in their districts, members of Congress in tough re-election fights are hearing from their constituents. Democratic Congresswoman Alyssa Slotkin, who supports the impeachment inquiry, got heckled. President Trump won her Michigan district by nearly 7 points. Most Republican senators have refused to criticize the president's conduct. This weekend, Senator Susan Collins of Maine cautiously joined Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse, the only ones to break ranks. Collins criticized the president's outreach to China, but won't say what she thinks of his communications with Ukraine.
I don't want to prejudge the evidence. Plus, not all the evidence is in yet.
All right, David Wright joins us now live from the White House. David, let's go back to that second whistleblower. We know that second whistleblower has already met with the intelligence community's Inspector General, and House Democrats are pushing this inquiry forward. They have subpoenaed the White House. Will the administration comply?
Tom, senior White House officials tell ABC News they have no intention of cooperating unless Speaker Nancy Pelosi holds a full vote of the House to authorize an impeachment inquiry. They say without such a vote, the White House is deprived of certain rights, including the right to have counsel present during all depositions. Democrats, however, say that the Constitution does not require them to take such a vote. Tom?
David Wright with those new developments this week. And David, thank you.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And that did it for this morning edition of the Riley King Newscast right here on the Riley King Network. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here later on today for another newscast. And I'll have a news report coming up in a little bit. Goodbye, everyone.